Good morning, ETT members, colleagues, and friends. It's good to be here with you, and I hope you're doing okay. I also hope that you took some time for your own self-care this weekend. After a whole week in virtual meetings and doing PD, I know it's challenging to find that time to delineate between home, work, and home and family, and home and finding some time for yourself. So I know the balancing act is not easy, and you have been so stalwart and courageous to move through this with all the positivity that you have. And today is April 6th, and it's a new week and the beginning of emergency remote teaching and learning in the best way we know how. I know there's a healthy debate on which term we should use or what we should call this time of closure. However, when we don't ascribe to the e-learning paradigm, and we also know that digital literacy is only one part of the skill set that empowers students for their futures and successful lives going forward. We're engaging our students in learning activities remotely to keep them buoyant, to keep them positive, and growing in the midst of this incredible time, this daunting global emergency. We're thinking of the doctors, the nurses, and hospital workers that are meeting these intense needs right now, and the grocery store workers and the food providers. We have such gratitude for all of that responsiveness. And I was thinking today about teachers and, you know, just how much double time teachers are doing as well. Double duty, wearing your capes in a way as well. In not only offering the expertise that you always do, but also heeding the call and being responsive to help in this COVID crisis and rise to different challenges in working with our youngest and most vulnerable. So thank you for doing that in the spirit that you are. In a week, a lot has unfolded. Thank you for your attention to the many messages and communications that have come your way from ETFO, from ETT, and from the TDSB as well. As late as 10 p.m. on Friday night, we got our message from John Malloy. There's hardly enough time to read one communication before the next one comes along, and there's some extension or new piece of information that we need to recognize and apply to what we're doing. So it's a lot to absorb, and we appreciate your patience and your understanding. We're trying to get it right. And there are lots of players in this process, and we're trying to work together and coordinate together as effectively and as efficiently as possible. I just want to let you know what that looks like. We have been, presidents of local affiliates have been meeting with the board in different tables, secondary, elementary, education worker, etc. And we've been talking about the different pieces and trying to give the input and pushback and reminders and bringing forth the things that are so very important at each discussion, at each phone call, at each virtual meeting. So that's been happening intensively, and I've been very involved in those. And then bringing it back to the ETT executive, because, you know, what's really happening on the ground with you and your principal and the administrators and superintendents directly is just provides such a direct lens and understanding for us and for me as I bring things back to the board. So our communications as an executive have been happening this week, and I'm hearing what it is we need to bring back. I'm going to give an example of something that I think needs to be brought to a better place and a clearer place. And that will be part of the communications I have in this week with the board, is just that piece of equity amongst one another as we're working and posting those lessons and providing that feedback, that we're all contributing in a balanced way for our own workload level and for that piece, as well as for the balance that's needed for students, and that they need the range of teachers and the range of activities to make their experience as rich as possible too. So we want to hear from the board. We've presented what we would feel would be equitable workload, and that piece on equity is vital. So we want to see that be really clear and happening in a very concrete way as the week unfolds, and as the following week unfolds even more so. So that's one example. I also just wanted to ask if you have gone through the FAQs carefully. There's lots in there. I wanted to highlight a couple of areas that are really important. There was confusion after the minister's message about reporting because we thought something, and what's been established is that nothing after March 13th, so in this closure time, is required to be included on the Term 2 report. So we have the evaluation from everything prior to March 13th, the March break. That is what's going to be reflected on the final report. However, there was a new piece of information come forward on Friday that I wanted you to know about, and it will be coming to you in writing as well from the ministry via ATFO, and it has to do with students, and the statement is, when it's in the best interest of students, we encourage teachers to include evidence of learning completed during the school closure period in their determination of final grades, when in the best interest of students. And that teachers should choose to include comments on the final report card if they feel that doing so would support the student's progress. So what we're reading from that is that if a student is showing significant progress in contrast to previous achievement prior to the March break, that teachers may choose to include that towards the final report. So there'll be more coming to you on that. I know reporting is the last thing on your mind on your first day of actually doing this, but I know many of us think ahead, so I just wanted you to have the information. So the second piece is this, that I just wanted to highlight. Video streaming. I know it's a live video streaming. It's a huge question on many minds right now, and I know there have been FAQs come out from ETFO and from ETT on it. Our role as a union is to make sure that you are safe and protected. And if there is Google Meet being used, and that's been used, and your principal has endorsed you to use that, and it's a kindergarten program, and social skills and the whole classroom environment is part of what kindergarten is, I realize. I mean, those things, you're going to have to make a decision on those things with your administrator. Really though, what we're saying is that we're not advising our members to engage in live streaming because there's always a chance, and if we think of Google Meet, and if there's a Google Meet meeting, and then if the link is left live, then there's a possibility that it could be accessed by anyone. And this is the reason that PRS, Professional Relations Services, has their advisory, and it's why we're recommending that you use pre-recorded lessons and pre-recorded messages and provide pre-recorded feedback and post them to the platform as much as possible for your safety and protection. Okay? Again, there may be more come forward on this piece, and we'll inform you of that, but for the time being, that's our advising to you. Those are the extras I have for now, and we recognize there are lots of threads here, and we're going to do our best to detangle them. when it gets messy or complicated. It's incredible that we are where we are today and that we're rolling. If you have any specific needs or questions, the board is saying to us it's your administrator that's the point person. Let your administrator know for whatever comes up. That is the direct line to expressing what you need, what needs to be shifted, what's going on, and obviously to please, if there's an issue or if anything is unreasonable, let us know, let me know, and we will address it in the best possible way. Thanks for your continued commitment and for your courage and for your community connection. You're amazing. And what else is amazing is that the last time we checked, from education contributors, $24,000 has been donated to Food Share and to providing good food boxes to our neighbors and friends who need it. And we know that with the closures that are now increasing since the weekend of businesses, restaurants, well, that had happened before, but more non-essential closures, it's going to be harder for everyone. So your ongoing donation and just commitment to those things is just really incredible, especially for increasing economic realities that are hard for our families. And finally, I just want to say I wish you well today and for the week. Thank you for your engagement with your students and also for your engagement with ETT. Thank you. Bye-bye.